High-pitched cry for help by problematic_Lana on AO3. Chapter 5. How old? Izuku is smart, even if everyone tried to say otherwise. That is the one thing in his life he was certain of. He could learn really quickly and could always find a way to adapt to a situation. He wasn't sure how to adapt to this one. After months of silence of both of his parents, things were finally falling apart. The first thing that ran out was obviously food, but he found a way around it, even if it took a toll on his body. The next thing that ran out was school supplies, but he managed to take most things out of the lost and found of the school. After that came the medical supplies, for which he just simply stopped taking care of himself, choosing to just cover bruises and else from his bullies with more clothes. But now the house had stopped working. He was aware of the existence of bills. However, he didn't completely understand how they worked. It took a lot more time than it should, but after a while of no one paying for anything, the lights would not turn on, and the water would not get hot. And only a week after, the water would just not come at all. He knew adults were supposed to take care of that, so it only made sense that no adults meant no service. Izuku needed a bath, so he stayed late and took one at school property in the gym. He knew he wasn't allowed there, but he did so anyways. He really wanted to see Auntie Mitsuki. She was really nice to him and was sure to let him take a bath at their house, except that Lachan would not like that, and he already had a hard time at school, so trying to make it worse by making him angry. The highlight of his days were the drawings that he did now for the pro hero. He was hesitant at first, seeing as there was no real connection to the drawings and what he wanted to ask him. But the pro hero seemed to take a liking to them, to the point where he made a request. President Mike, huh? He remembered the name from Kachan's mouth once or twice, but he didn't really know about him, and he didn't have any means to look him up now that there was no Wi-Fi, or even electricity at his house. He couldn't even access the school computers, as they were strictly watched for, and only the older students could use them. Primary school wasn't really any better than preschool. He dares say it was worse too. The teachers barely tolerated him, most of the time treating him as if he didn't hear rather than he didn't speak. He was often forced to stay after class to clean as a result of being a troublemaker, as if the other kids didn't constantly try to antagonize him. He was so tired. Oh, so tired. Maybe it was the poor eating, the night terrors, the bullying, or even just the constant feeling of putting everything around him in danger. He was too tired for his age. Izuku's green hair was slowly becoming matted, his curls losing their form, his eyes losing their shine. He was doing poorly in school, too. Not because it was hard for him to understand, but because he couldn't for the life of him find something useful in it. What was the point in studying if he wasn't going to be graded fairly anyways? Even learning had lost its spark. One of those days, those especially bad days, that were becoming more and more frequent, he was trying to get some information on President Mike to make his drawing for that night. He entered a merch store. If it was a hero, he was sure to find at least a picture of him there. With just a piece of paper that said President Mike on it, he went in. He showed the paper to the person on the front desk, and a really old lady takes her time putting on glasses and reading the note. She smiles fondly and takes a good look at Izuku, a frown appearing in her face. "Are you looking for anything special, dearie?" she says, and Izuku thinks she may not be happy to later discover he has no money. "This is what we have of him. His merch runs out fast, so there is not much left. I'm sorry." He makes sure to give her a big smile, and the poor lady looks a bit sad. President Mike, a blonde with leather all over. In most pictures he appears smiling or yelling. His immediate thought is that he was wrong. He looked more like a rock singer or a DJ if he had to be honest. All his merch looked music-related, and he cannot possibly remember the last time he heard music. He used to like to sing. Maybe Eraserhead was a fan himself. He did dress all black after all. It looked right by his alley. He tried hard to remember all the details he could, making a mental map. He was sad he didn't have any yellow crayons to make the drawing pop, but it would have to do with what he had. You look sick to some degree, sweetheart. Are you okay? Startled, he turned around, the old lady staring at him, analyzing him. I have some tea and crackers, if you would like. He debated it. She seemed nice, and in his experience, women seemed to be less harsh with him. Not that he knew many. At the end, he was about to refuse. He was never taught about stranger danger, but in his shoes, it was just hard to trust anyone. Please. Being old is really lonely, you know. She took out the crackers. They were plain ones, but it had been 2 days since he last ate, and his stomach growled awkwardly. He nodded. That afternoon was hard for him. He really didn't notice how he missed having someone treat him like an actual person. He spent more than 2 hours with that lady. She liked to talk a lot. Her name was Nami. She had no grandchildren, and her husband had been dead for a decade now. She had 3 ferrets and an intense love for radio shows. President Mike was a radio host, apparently. She lived alone, and she was 71. And the most important thing, she was quirkless. Izuku cried for an hour under her care. The lady was the first one to hug him in maybe 1 or 2 years, and she even promised to bake him some apple pie if he ever came back another day. She helped him with his present Mike drawing, and gave him some used color pencils she had laying around. She didn't even have all the colors, but he was so grateful that she didn't even question him about his muteness. That day, Izuku learned that the Quirkless could live up to 71 years old, but he was also reminded that being Quirkless meant being lonely. Maybe he could open a hero merch store instead of being a hero. That night, Izuku had the courage to attach a note to the drawing. He had to think hard about what to put in it, but ultimately decided on something simple. What is President Mike's quirk? He added a bunch of random music notes to the question, as if to convey his message. He didn't quite write it perfectly, but he hoped he got an actual answer. He waited for the pro hero in his usual hiding spot. A few minutes later than usual, a black shadow jumped from roof to roof, appeared and settled into his usual spot. The pro got there, drank his jelly pouch, and opened the drawing, reading the note too. Seemingly taken back from it, he looked up, his eyes searching for something. Finally, falling into his green ones without much of a hassle. He had been exposed. It is called voice. He yelled in his direction, in the least casual way a man could scream from a ceiling. It was the first time he realized the child had green eyes. Should have lived to regret following the idea to catch his attention by letting him know he was there. He saw the little kid freeze, like a deer in headlights, and run at top speed to the other direction. It took all his mental strength to not follow him, and the guilt started to eat him alive for the next few days. He couldn't help but notice that the kid didn't look too good that day. Maybe he should have followed him. At his next patrol, the jelly pouch and sticker he left were still there, and the kid, nowhere to be found. Okay, emotional today. We're emotional. Alright, okay. So, I want to talk about Izuku's abandonment because they truly just abandoned Izuku. No food, no school supplies, no medical supplies. They stopped paying rent. I'm waiting for the day that Izuku just gets evicted, and it's sad because he's a kid and he's living through this, and I'm emotional. If you couldn't tell, I'm emotional. It is very much obvious and eminent in my voice that I'm emotional. Because what does eminent even mean? God, I'm using big words that I don't fully understand. I'm gonna need... Storm, get over here. I need your... Stop playing with that sock. Get over here. Come on. I scared him with my hand. Great. He cares about a sock more than he cares about me. He also cares more about boxes than the toys that we buy him. Literally. Which, by the way, today he met his, my uncle for the first time, who has 2 other cats. What are you doing? 2 other cats. And he's just like, yep, adorable, wonderful. So, I'm about to buy you guys a bunch of cat stuff. Have fun with that. So yeah, we have that to look forward to. I really hope that Izuku, like, what? This is chapter 5. I really hope that Izuku gets, like, we're progressing a little faster when it comes to the whole Izuku no longer having a viable home. So I feel like Izuku's probably gonna get homeless soon in the next 2 chapters. And then Izuku's gonna obviously get adopted by, Eraserhead and, President Mike. Which also, I wonder what Izuku's gonna react with, President Mike, you know, and all that. Like, how is that gonna happen, you know? Yeah, I think I'm gonna end this now. I can't say anything more because, like, as I mentioned before, it's fucked up that Izuku has to live through this. And I stick with my, theory that Izuku's gonna get, adopted or taken in around, chapter 10. So, yeah, let's hope that it is around chapter 10. Can you tell that I'm a little bit emotionally drained? You see, I would be crying right now if it wasn't for the fact that I literally sobbed my eyeballs out before my heart gives out. This, like, today. Like, that one. Ugh. Oh my god. Like, actually, like, just ripped my heart apart. We're not gonna talk about that. So, emotionally, I don't think I could cry right now. Emotionally, but yeah. As up until raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.